They thought he was just another guy in a hoodie.
No law degree, no courtroom training, just a quiet black man holding a stack of papers and a folder covered in Post-it notes. But what happened next? That courtroom would never forget it, because this man would go on to win 26 cases by himself, with no lawyer, and it all started with a $45 parking ticket. You see, Dwayne Johnson, not the actor, but a working-class father from Chicago, never planned to take on the legal system. He wasn't trying to be a rebel. He didn't grow up watching courtroom dramas or dreaming of standing before a judge. He was just tired. Tired of being dismissed. Tired of being charged for things he didn't do. Tired of being told to just pay it when he knew something wasn't right. It started simple. A parking ticket. Illegally issued, in his opinion. His car was parked legally on a street where restrictions didn't apply until 8 a.m. He took photos, had timestamps, even called the city to clarify. Still, the fine stood. Just pay it, the clerk said. But something in Dwayne snapped. He didn't want to pay for silence anymore, so he started digging. Not scrolling, digging. Through PDFs, city websites, buried ordinances from 10 years ago, reading court cases he didn't understand, but refused to stop studying. He didn't have a lawyer, but he had the public library. He didn't have a degree, but he had determination. And he didn't have money, but he had time. Late nights after his warehouse shifts, highlighter in one hand, notepad in the other. Sometimes falling asleep at the table with legal printouts stuck to his face. For most people, a parking ticket is the end. For Dwayne, it was just the beginning. When the court date came, the room was filled with people in suits. But Dwayne walked in wearing the only dress shirt he owned, holding a folder of notes he'd rewritten 10 times. He wasn't nervous, he was ready. When the judge called his name, Dwayne stood tall, not with arrogance, but with clarity. He politely asked if he could speak. Then he dropped a bomb. "Your Honor," he said, "under Municipal Code 4-16-220, subsection B, this citation is unenforceable because the signage was insufficient under city compliance rules revised in March of last year." The judge blinked. The prosecutor looked confused. The room went silent. Then, case dismissed. Just like that. Dwayne walked out of court that day without paying a dime. But more importantly, he walked out with something else. A fire. What if it wasn't just him? What if this happened to hundreds of people every day? What if people were paying fines they didn't actually owe because they didn't know how to fight back? That thought haunted him. So he did what most people wouldn't. He kept going. Over the next few months, Dwayne became obsessed. He printed laws from every corner of the internet. FOIA requests, case law databases, zoning codes, housing policies. He started building his own index of the system's pressure points, where it broke down, where it was weakest. He started seeing patterns, an eviction notice that violated local statute, a wage garnishment that skipped due process, a repossession filed under the wrong jurisdiction. He started winning, first for himself, then for his neighbor, then for his cousin, then for people who heard about him through word of mouth. No bar number, no courtroom license, just a brother with a brain that refused to bow. And the city started to notice. At first, they laughed, thought it was luck. Then they started losing motions, losing appeals, losing cases. Because Dwayne didn't just know the law, he understood it. And when you're armed with knowledge, There's no such thing as just a civilian. Still, the system doesn't like being embarrassed. Clerks started giving him attitude. Prosecutors rolled their eyes. One judge even tried to silence him, saying he wasn't qualified to speak on legal matters. But Dwayne stayed calm. He knew how they saw him. Just another black man with no credentials. But what they didn't realize was that Dwayne wasn't asking for permission. He was exercising a right. And rights don't come with degrees. In one hearing, a prosecutor tried to out-talk him. So Dwayne waited patiently, then calmly read out a case from 1998, one so obscure it wasn't even cited in the official training manuals. The room went dead quiet again. The judge, visibly annoyed, asked the prosecutor if they had a response. They didn't. Case dismissed. Again. By now, people were whispering his name in neighborhoods across the city. He beat him again. He helped my aunt keep her apartment. He got that cop to back off a bogus fine. And still, no news cameras, no viral articles, no trending hashtags. Because a self-taught black man winning against the system? That's not something they want front page. But here's the truth. Dwayne Johnson didn't need their headlines, because he was already becoming a movement. And in the next part of this story, he's going to take on a case that nearly broke him. A case that involved corruption, collusion, and a courtroom that tried to shut him down for good. But they underestimated one thing. You can't silence someone who knows the rules better than you do. By now, Dwayne Johnson had become a quiet legend in his city. 26 wins, 0 legal training, and not a single dollar taken for his time. But his next case? It wasn't just personal. It was dangerous. Because this time, he wasn't just challenging a parking ticket or a landlord. He was about to expose a courtroom that was rigged from the inside. It started with a woman named Ms. Carter, single mother, 2 jobs, 3 kids. Her landlord had been harassing her for months, shutting off her heat, refusing to make repairs, threatening eviction if she spoke up. One morning, she got the notice. Evicted in 7 days. No warning, no court date. Just a stamp and a signature. She panicked, called everyone she knew. One of them told her, "Call Dwayne." She didn't believe the stories at first, but when she met him, sitting in a folding chair, reading legal codes over a sandwich, something about his calm presence made her stay. "I just need help," she whispered. He nodded. "I got you." Dwayne started digging. It didn't take long to realize something was wrong. The eviction order wasn't just rushed, it was illegal. The signature on the court document belonged to a judge who had retired 2 months earlier. And the landlord was connected to the building inspector. Same last name, same address, cousins. So Dwayne started pulling records, late-night downloads, public files, printouts stacked in his living room like textbooks. He wasn't looking for drama. He was looking for proof. And when he found it, he smiled quietly to himself. Gotcha. The day of court came fast. The room was tense. Ms. Carter looked terrified. The landlord looked smug. His lawyer came in with a $2,000 suit and a briefcase full of threats. And Dwayne? He walked in with a manila folder, a worn-out legal pad, and a calm fire in his eyes. The judge looked annoyed. "You're not an attorney," he said. "You can't represent her." "I'm not representing her," Dwayne replied. "I'm advising her as a friend. She'll speak. I'll guide." The judge grunted. "Fine, but stay in your lane." Ms. Carter began shaking as she read her statement. But then Dwayne gently pointed to a line on her paper. And what she said next changed everything. "Your Honor," she said, voice trembling, "this eviction is invalid under Municipal Housing Code 8-3-112. The signature on the order is from Judge Carlisle, who retired on July 1st. This notice was dated August 5th. The judge blinked. Whispers spread in the courtroom. Then Dwayne stood. "Additionally," he said, "the plaintiff has a conflict of interest. The landlord and the inspector listed in violation reports are immediate family. That information was not disclosed under Local Ethics Law 14-22. Now the judge was staring. The landlord's lawyer stood, objecting. "This is irrelevant, Your Honor. These people don't understand." But Dwayne calmly walked forward and handed the bailiff a packet of documents. "Everything she said," he added, "is verified. I've highlighted the specific codes. The court can confirm every detail." The judge called a recess. When court resumed 20 minutes later, the tone had changed. Case dismissed. Landlord sanctioned. Inspection launched. Ms. Carter cried in the hallway. "You saved me," she whispered. But Dwayne shook his head. "Nah, you did that. You just needed the words period." That moment made something click for Dwayne. He realized the system didn't just fear people with money, it feared people with knowledge. Because when everyday people know the rules, corruption has nowhere to hide. But word got out, and not in a good way. Suddenly, Dwayne started noticing weird things. His name flagged on city court logs, delays in filing access, a strange letter sent to his home, warning him he could be practicing law without a license. And one day, he walked into court and wasn't allowed in. Security blocked him. "We've been told to keep you out." No reason given. No paperwork, just a shut door. But what they didn't realize? Dwayne had already started something they couldn't stop. Because while they were trying to silence him, he had quietly been teaching others. Not law school, not lectures, but kitchen table classes. One neighbor, one friend, one cousin at a time, breaking down legal codes in plain English, teaching folks how to read what was written against them. "I don't need to be your lawyer," he'd say. "I just need you to understand the law that's already yours." Dwayne never wanted fame. He didn't chase clout. He never even posted online about what he was doing. But people were watching, and they were learning. He'd started a ripple, a quiet revolution. One family saved, one eviction stopped, one fine reversed, each victory a spark. And soon, the fire was spreading. But in the next chapter of Dwayne's story, he goes head-to-head with a city prosecutor who threatens to lock him up. And the courtroom showdown that follows, it becomes the most intense battle of his life. Because this time, they don't want to just beat him. They want to bury him. Subscribe now. You don't want to miss what happens next.